Sir, you're charged with especially aggravated kidnapping. You're also charged with aggravated assault, and you're charged with theft of a firearm worth less than $2,500.
You're talking about stuff that is not relevant.
Hello and welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the Recovery Addict, and boy do I have a case for you today.
Why is the dog chewing on this guy?
I think they have got the wrong guy
They
there.
got the wrong guy, and the dog was biting him.
He roughing him up quite a bit. There's a lawsuit.
Sorry guys, the screen's looking a little funny here, but we'll get there. Reactivating our commands. Should be working in just a second. There we go. All right, everybody. I'm here. Welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. It helps if I'm right here for the Top Mark Media. Welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. I'm the Recovery Addict. Good to have you joining us this afternoon. We have a lot of things going on. First of all, Kim R, congratulations. First in chat today on the Recovery Addict channel. We have Top Mark Media in the mix as well. Hopefully they can hear us. Hopefully it's not terrible. If this doesn't work, I'll bail on Top Mark Media as far as my audio goes and just let them watch that without me. But we are... This is weird. I've never done this before. I'm streaming on StreamYard as well as through my switcher, two different ways. We do have some time before the verdict is read, some time, and that's great. Apparently we have 40 minutes. But that's all right. Let's see. Where are we at? Give me a second. I've got so many things set up here it's driving me nuts. 0. Okay, camera 3. Keep that one there. Okay, I think I wanted to make sure everything was right before I did this, but I think it's time. Is it? Let's see. 6-foot bus. Can you let RA know Top Mark is working? It is. In that case, it's time to do this right here. My son took it. There we go. We've got the verdict music playing because Chad Daybell, his long delay is over. In just a few minutes, in about 40 minutes from right now, we expect to hear a verdict in the Chad Daybell trial. Up in Idaho, Judge Boyce has finished his work on this trial for the most part. I think there's still a penalty phase to come, but it took over 30 days of trial in the Chad Daybell trial. A lot of people are expecting a guilty verdict. That's if you were to do a poll right now. If Ashley were to do a poll, I think the guilty verdict would come out on top. So now it's just anticipation as we wait for the jury to come in. There's obviously a lot of people who have to be notified. Family gets to be notified. The press gets to be there. We knew it was going to be at least a 30-minute wait between when the jury reached a verdict and when the verdict is read. If you look right here on our timer, it looks like they deliberated for about 7 hours and 16 minutes by my count. Some counts have it a little under 7 hours, depending on where it goes. Will Lori be watching? She might be. I don't know. Long Crime has 6 hours. I did not stop the timer today when the jury came in for the instructions, so that would make sense. But either way, less than eight on the conviction. I say conviction. Did I just give it away? I said conviction. I don't know what the result is. It's possible. It's possible that they all come back and say, nope, this was all on Lori. This guy's innocent. I don't see that happening. For those that didn't follow the case, tragically, there were 3 deaths involved that Chad's being charged with. One was of his wife, and 2 were Lori Daybell's children. I believe all 3 were located in different places on Chad's property. His wife obviously was originally, I think, ruled a death by natural consequences, and then they took another look at that one. And the 2 children, the remains were found on his property in the back. There is so much stuff. There's so much stuff here. Brandy, are you here? It's verdict time. I'm not sure. I'm doing StreamYard on Topmark, but I don't know if I can't invite anybody on this way. It's a little difficult. I chose poorly. Were I a true professional, I would figure out how to bring some of these great people who are in chat in with us so that we could watch this. Let's see. Daybell got 3 counts of murder in the first degree, 2 counts of conspiracy to commit murder, conspiracy to commit grand theft by deception, as well as 3 counts of insurance fraud. I will say, let me just go out on a limb here and say, I believe this will be an all or nothing verdict. Only because I believe that this will be a guilty. Just in what I heard, and I've popped in and listened almost every single day to little bits of this as it's been streaming over on Topmark. It's crazy. I'll say that. And there seems to be a plenty of evidence that would point to Chad Daybell, even if it's not physical video of we watched it happen. See, Brandy's here, says, hey, I'm here. I'm riding shotgun on the way to Nashville for CrimeCon and saw there's a verdict, so I wanted to watch with y'all. You've got some time. Brandy, I'm jealous. I hear you're going to be there with a couple mods. I know Ian Runkle's going to be there. I think Emily D. Baker's going to be there. Is Ikadmel going to be there again this year? Just some good people. I hope you have an absolutely wonderful time, and please send pictures. So we're super excited. I'm committing to next year for CrimeCon, but I still have tentatively. I'm looking at possibly at the convention in July, a little further west. Where is it? Is it in Denver, Las Vegas? I don't remember, but that one is it's like a true crime and paranormal podcast convention. I forget what it's called. It's got like 4 letters. Let's see. Brandy, have a safe trip for sure. We're so excited you're going, and I'm very, very jealous. Just breathe. Welcome to the gallery. Thank you very much. I have back focus. I had some depth of field issues. Is that better? We fixed it. Equestrian 100, my first live with you. Welcome. I do a lot of lives, so hopefully we can have some more in the future. MJ Spidey Mom says, I'm committing to next year too. I really hope you're able to make it. Do we know yet? Have they announced where it's going to be next year? Or will they announce at the end of CrimeCon like they normally do? Let's see. Just got a message from somebody and I don't know what it was. Okay, we're good, I think, on everything. All right, I think it's in that's in Denver. I know the Defense Diaries is going. Yeah, it's a little bit different down there in at the other one. It's got paranormal as well. So you get like ghost hunters and true crime mixed in the same community, which I think is just great. I think it's awesome. All right, let's see. I'm going to make sure I have audio from camera 7 turned on, and we do. Let me go to 2 box here. It's going to look weird on Top Mark, and I apologize. I might stop my camera, but keep the video going over on Top Mark. Does that work? Just because it gets a little confusing the way we're going to set it up, because I'm running two separate streams with one video switcher, which it was not designed to do. In Nashville, I know it's in Nashville this year. Is it in Nashville every year? I thought it was in Florida last year. So I'm setting up a booth to sell tinfoil hats. Free hat in every roll. Just sell the roll of Reynolds. Did I get the tweet from the video of Judge Simpson I sent to the bird phone? I believe I did. Yes. The one we showed this morning. I think so. Sarah Bailey, welcome. Thanks for clicking the subscribe button. We've got a few minutes before the verdict is here, but we are expecting a verdict in the Idaho via Chad Daybell murder trial. Sorry, my headphones are not comfortable for some reason. Maybe it's because I need a haircut so badly they don't fit anymore. I think that's it. Let's see, 3 counts of murder in the first degree, which does include the death penalty. Lori Vallow, who was on trial previously and was convicted in Idaho, did not face the death penalty, even though she was a co-conspirator. At one time, they were together on this. She did not face the death penalty because the state made an error in discovery and forgot or neglected to provide some information to the defense. And as a sanction, as a sanction on the state for doing that, they removed the option of the death penalty for Lori. So there is, in Idaho at least, it's life in prison without parole for her. She still faces a trial in Arizona, which is coming up, that I believe death penalty is still an option for. So for the crimes that happened there. And then Chad Daybell, though, death penalty is on the table. So very much he could be on death row as a result of this trial. I'm not sure as far as carrying out that sentence where Idaho is on that. It's not, I don't think it's like Texas, who seems to lead the nation on finishing those sentences. But can I take the floating heart off? Oh, is it on this one right here? Do we have a floating heart right here? Oh, we do. We don't anymore. It's gone. Thank you. I don't like those live reactions, but I couldn't see them. Okay. Let's see. I think we can take a couple calls if anyone would like to call on this one and keep it brief, keep it relevant. We'll open up the burner phone for that. Texas executes the most inmates and has the highest death row exoneration rate too. Oh no, Shark. Those are two stats you would hope would be different. You'd hope you'd have the right people on being convicted. Ivan calls in, or actually Ivan says, gas money for Chad's ride to the big house.
Call from
Paul.
Hey, Paul, this is R.A. How are you doing?
Pretty good, buddy. What's up?
Oh, we're excited. It's been a long time since we've had a verdict. It seems like it's been forever. I'm not sure how to do this. I called you Paul.
Right,
It's Paul.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah. I've forgotten what verdict is. The verdict music sounds great. I've missed it. I've missed it a lot. But did you follow the Chad Daybell trial at all?
No, I didn't, but I was calling in to talk about the last trial we just watched.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead. We're talking the hot tub pineapple pineapple trial.
Yeah. The guy I found really dodgy. The lady I found very straightforward and informative. My opinion on both of them is she's covering up for something he salaciously did to the wife, is what it sounds like. You know what I mean? The victim.
Well, there were some allegations there, but it ended a friendship.
Well, here's the thing. Everybody gets banned that doesn't agree with their agenda, and those that do agree with their agenda don't get banned. So you stack that on top of everything else that was going on, and it's massively sus to me.
I think I got the feel, like in the you hear the phrase, the first rule of Fight Club, you don't talk about Fight Club. I think that might apply to the Pineapple Party as well. And so
yeah, definitely.
people that didn't contribute to the Pineapple Party festivities or were sort of on the outside, they just didn't get invited later on. And so, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, and the problem was for me was that whole thing is that they showed us the husband, which I was fine with the prosecution doing that. Okay, that made relevance to state of mind and all that. So I got that. But when the defense went on with when the prosecution brought up the wife and then the defense went up to the wife, I was like sitting there. The other question I got in my head is why? Because if I'm on the jury, we've already established this. You know, I don't see what the defense gets out of it. Doesn't make him seem any less guilty. Doesn't make me look at the prosecution and think they've got to really prove his state of mind. They already did that. So it was also redundant. I was just kind of like, what are we doing?
Terribly redundant. They had very little to go there, and we went over it from every direction possible multiple times. But what they had to do, the problem is defense, and in this case, they had, I've got a prank call. Thal, can I let you go?
Yeah.
I'm letting you go for a prank call. Sorry. Bye.
It's okay. See you, bud.
Hello? Hello?
Yes, hello. My name is Adele from Grace Travel. How are you doing today?
Good.
Well, that's great. So, I'm calling you in regards to a large amount of travel credit you haven't filed with us. My job is to close out all expired accounts, but when I saw how much credit you had available, I wanted to touch base with you because I didn't feel comfortable closing it out without at least giving you one last opportunity to use this fund. So, do you see yourself traveling in the future? Right?
I'd like to. I just cannot afford it.
Okay, so perfect. Okay, so the first thing we need to cover is this package is good for a lifetime. So if it takes you 6 months or 6 years to travel, you can. Also, transfer fees are real. To start you off, you will receive a 5-day, 4-night stay in Las Vegas. In Vegas, you will have the option of staying on or off the strip. Next, you will get a 5-day, 4-night stay in Orlando, Florida. In Orlando, you will be walking distance from all of the major theme parks. Next, you will get an 8-day, 7-night flex cruise with Royal Caribbean, Norwegian, or Carnival Cruise Line with many options. And last but not least, we're including a 3-day, 2-night stay with a choice of over 150 cities to choose from. It doesn't matter where you choose to go, we will include round-trip airfare for two. Now, I do see here that all you are responsible for is one-time booking fee. I also see here you qualify for something really special. Hold on the line and let me see what that is, okay?
Okay. Hello? Hello?
Hi, am I speaking with Dwayne?
Yes.
Hey, Dwayne, my name is Jessica. You were transferred to me so I could further assist you. How are you doing today?
Good. They said something about I had a credit.
Yes. Looks like you were issued a $1,500 travel credit. It was issued to you back in September of 2022.
September.
Did you not know that you had those?
I don't
they were.
remember.
Gotcha. Well, they were issued to you either because you stayed at a major resort, you did a timeshare tour, or you could have had traveler's insurance on a vacation package. Any of that sound like something you might have done?
I visit a lot of hot tubs, so I go on little like mini vacations to little hot tub places, so that it could have been.
Gotcha. Well, you do have the credits, so we are just reaching out. We wanted to give you the opportunity to utilize the credits as they are set to expire. Did they get a chance to go over any of the vacations with you?
It was very noisy, but they said there was a cruise. I'm only interested in the hot tubs. Hello? Have you ever been hot tubbing? Hello? I screwed it up. All right. Well, I think I got farther on this one than most calls. Sorry, Thal, for hanging up on you because for a spam call. They haven't hung up. She's just muted me. You can hear me right now. Oh, this is the best. They don't like hanging up on you because it affects their stats. The longer you can have somebody on the phone, the better it looks for them. But this lady's out there. She noped out. No, she's still here. She's been on the phone for 4 minutes, 15 seconds. With $1,500 of travel credits. I wonder how she muted. Yeah, she muted her so she can hear me. That's the funny part. She knows that she has a job that her parents would be embarrassed. They would disown her if they knew what she did. She knows that. And it's terrible. She has a job. She probably lies to her friends about what she does at work. Okay. I mean, how can you look somebody in the eye and say, I scam people day in and day out for work and feel good about that? So anyway, she can hear me right now, or maybe she's thrown her headset on the desk or something. But I tell you, I've got a job opportunity for you. Can you edit video, by the way? Ma'am, come back on. Let's just talk. Look, we know it's a scam. Just come back on. Just unmute your phone and talk to us for a minute. I've got it's just like me and you and like 1,600 people on YouTube. Let's just talk. Come on. You can do it. Unmute. Look, you can stop the recording. I'll give you a good review. What if I were to pay the booking fee for my trip, which we both know is fake.
You have been kicked from this conference.
Now she hung up. So, I told you they could hear you. They can hear you. Oh man, it's good. All right, where were we? Oh man, they'll call back. They call back all the time. Anyway, we were talking about. It said conference. It was a conference because there were two parties. Oh, Thal wants the rest of his airtime.
Call from.
Oh my God.
Thal, how you doing?
That was beautiful.
It's one of the things we do here. We take prank calls and I'll kick. If I'm on the phone with my mom, I'll hang up and say, "Sorry, Mom, travel agency's calling. I've got $1,500 of credits. I gotta go."
As soon as you said I got a call coming in, I immediately thought of that one lady you had like a 20-minute conversation on the stream with. That she was like, "Oh, I do this and da 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 da," and you guys just kept chatting like chatty Cathy's for 20 minutes. It was great.
We've had a couple that actually subscribed to the channel. They haven't shown their face in chat yet, but I love it.
Oh,
anyway.
Well, they should because we love them.
Yep, we are. Let me see where we're going here. We are what we're doing. There we are. We have the court's in recess right now. We're waiting for it to come back. Why does it show? I'm not sure why it's.
I have a bone to pick with that, by the way. All right.
What's that?
Okay. Do these judges, are they so highfalutin and smug on their own scent that they don't understand Recovery Addict has a show to do, people? Okay? Get it together, all right? You exist for the ratings, okay, people? Hello, work with us. We're working here. We're working here. He does not
represent the channel.
The mods are working.
The voice you're hearing, I don't know who he is. Fall. Oh my goodness. We're having.
Yeah, but yeah, that last case, the last point I was going to make about that last case was just, it floundered when we hit that second witness. I was like, what are we doing? Are you trying to paint these two as bad people? Because congratulations, you did it. I don't know how that helped the case in any way, shape, or form, but okay.
I'm having trouble over on Top Mark. Hang on just one second. Let me
Gotcha.
Give me just 1 second. Start sharing. Present. Share screen. Daybell. Share. Okay, it's not liking the way we've got this set up. Apparently, it doesn't want my video to go 2 places.
You know why that happens, don't you?
No clue.
It's because
it's StreamYard.
Because we're old.
It's
because we're old, and it's Weather Watch's fault. That's what it is. Weather Watch did it to you again. I don't know how he does it, but
StreamYard just crashed. The entire StreamYard application just crashed. Just give me a second.
Oh my God!
But I can see the video up here. We do have the feed going, so we'll take that as soon as it's live. Let's enter the studio. Testing.
Oh,
there we go.
Chat, I always blame Weather Watch. I always blame Weather Watch for everything, chat.
Okay, this actually fixed it, because now instead of sharing the video, I'm just using one mixer, and we're sending the feed to both places. So we fixed it on the fly.
There you go. See, I just use OBS when I stream, and that's it. You get the one picture. That's it. You have all these like multiple feeds and everything, and I almost think you're some kind of wizard over there with necromancy and stuff with wires and tubes everywhere, and I'm just like,
it's
sure, man.
If we were to look at the corner here, it actually says Black Magic in the corner, but most of my equipment is made by a company called Black Magic Design.
It qualifies. Definitely appropriate. Definitely appropriate.
So Chad on the big screen. Chad is on the big screen, right? This is Chad. This is the court we're waiting for. It's going to start here in just a minute. I'll put it up. I can put it this way and put me in the corner. I mean, what? It is on big screen.
Groovy, this is Thal.
Yes, this is Thal. Thal has a channel too. Not a true crime channel. Warhammer 40,000?
40K lore. Yep.
Yeah.
It's Warhammer 40K lore.
But
if I ever go back to putting more stuff on it, I'll let you guys know.
Awesome.
It's just sitting there right now. It's doing fine. It's weird. It's a weird little thing, because YouTube says, if you let it go for a month and don't upload anything, we're going to kill your channel. And it's been 6 months and nope.
Yeah, we've got a few people saying, ooh, 40K. So it's, for those that understand, it's a game, and it's the lore behind the game, right?
Yeah. It's the stories you read, the characters you see, the cartoons they make out of it. I kind of go through and explain who's doing what their motivations are, and just everything else. It's huge. It's the lore is massive. It's absolutely just incredibly big.
We'll give a shout out to your channel. What's the name of the channel? Do you want me to put it up here?
Oh, it's just Thal.
Just Thal?
Yeah, just Thal.
Thal is the name of the channel. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a computer game? Or is it a tabletop?
Oh, I'm sorry, saying?
Sorry, is it a computer game or is it a tabletop?
Yes.
Yes, both.
It's a tabletop played with minis. It's a computer game. They've made books out of it. They've made magazines out of it. They've made cartoons out of it. They've made animations out of it. Amazon is thinking of making a series out of it now. So they'll trash it, and then they'll make it absolutely, disgusting. So I won't watch it, but yeah, because that's what Amazon does. It takes everything and just pretty much ruins it. They're really good at it. It's like anytime Netflix, and it's like that meme when people say, "Look, it's a new Netflix show over this historical figure," and it's just all messed up. Yeah, that's Amazon in a nutshell. Well, they do the same thing.
Disney can make anyone a princess, so it's about the same thing.
True.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Thal. Appreciate it. We're about to talk just a little bit about Chad Daybell as we're waiting. We've got about 15 minutes before the verdict comes in. Is there anything else you wanted to share? Have you followed this trial at all?
Daybell? Real quick to Sarah Sherwood on Fallout. I liked Fallout. It is not lore accurate. It is terrible for lore. However, everybody did an okay job with acting.
Okay, what more can you ask?
That's as far as I was going to go.
They did an okay job. That's one thumb sideways is what that
I
rating
wouldn't. I'd give them out of 5 out of 10, and I wouldn't. If it was a movie, I wouldn't go watch it.
No.
I'd wait till it came out to like $2 stores, and then I might watch it.
Yeah. Awesome. I'm going to let you go, Thal, because we've got Goodman Law Firm, Nicole, who's been up in the courtroom and wants to call and talk a little bit about the jury, and we'd love to hear that. So thank you, Thal. We'll talk again soon. And thanks for letting me hang up on you for a prank call. So
those take priority, man. Those are awesome. I love those.
All right. We'll see you. Bye.
See you, bud.
Okay, we'll leave the phone open for Nicole to give a call. Can't wait to hear about that. She says she's calling now, so let the mice connect to the wires. I think it's working. All right, there we go. Looks like it came back at a good time. Yes, we've got a verdict in the Chad Daybell case. We have not followed this on RA, but it has been for those who are watching us over on Top Mark Media. Hello, first of all. I haven't talked much on Top Mark Media, but here we go. Here's Nicole.
Call from.
It's me.
Hey, Nicole. Long time no talk.
Hi, how are you?
Doing well. How about yourself?
I'm well, thank you. So, yeah, I had a feeling that verdict was going to come back super, super fast.
Yeah, I was actually surprised it didn't come back in the first 2 hours of yesterday.
I think the reason it didn't come back in the first 2 hours is because they were picking the foreperson, which I already know who it is. I'd be shocked if it wasn't. It's that the one I call the Stormtrooper. It's the Reese Witherspoon juror.
Okay, stop at the beginning. I'm intrigued. I know nothing about the jury. What can you tell me about who's there?
All right. So the way I broke it down was, front row. It was it's Reese Witherspoon, and then next to her is Phil Donahue, and then oh my gosh, I can't remember who I used for the other two guys. I can see their faces, but I can't remember. They're celebrity names. But then there's two, sort of mid-30s kind of balding guys, and then Edward James Olmos, who looks like he slept through the whole trial.
And these they made it on deliberation? Or any of these alternates?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. So the ones that actually got bounced, which was interesting, the 5 that were alternates, it was like 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. It must have been whoever put their slips on top. They were just pulled out. So I don't think they mixed the batch in. But that was okay. I mean, there wasn't a juror that wasn't making faces by the end of the trial. I mean, it was actually quite funny.
So what can you tell us about the jury? First of all, this has been a very long trial. This has gone a month, right?
Yes. Yes, it has been long, but it's also been broken up because of long breaks, technical difficulties, and things like that.
So I followed. I think I followed a little bit with the hearing where some other lawyer tried to file a motion on behalf of the defendant, and he got sanctioned because he wrote it as like a citizen on his letterhead. I mean, there's been crazy things happening in the middle of this trial.
Yes.
I don't know how that one ended.
There was also, there's been a ton of stuff. There was one of the women, crazy people from Chad's group was trying to get into the courthouse in disguise and get in the courtroom wearing like a wig and like... prosthetic. I mean, it was bizarre.
Was she a witness?
She was not, but she's a crazy person, and they were warned about her, and she tried to sneak in, and she was recognized in disguise, and so the bailiffs had to swarm her and kick her out of the building. It's been weird.
Wow.
Pardon me. My allergies are telling me.
As far as attendance in the trial, how's it been from the public perspective? Is it mostly media? Is there a local contingency that's made the trip? What's it been?
There is a local contingency. There's also a lot of people from out of town that have come in to watch. One thing I can tell you is that Zoom feed does not show how massive that courtroom is.
Oh, it's huge.
Courtroom 400 is, if you took the middle, the screen where you can see the lectern and the prosecution table, if you took that view and doubled it on each side, that's how big it is. So there's usually like 70 observers every day, but they're off to the sides. Wow. So you can't really see them.
That's massive. Yeah, it doesn't give you that perspective on Zoom. It looks much smaller.
No,
but,
yeah. There's a ton of people in there every day.
And just for those,
they had to go back to tickets because there's so many people.
For those that are curious, the reason this court was on Zoom was in Idaho. We've had a rash of decisions by judges saying that they want to control the media. This may have started with Lori, her trial, when Court TV did an extreme close-up. Like, you can count her eyelashes close up.
Yes.
And that invaded her privacy. And there was, they said that prejudices her. She doesn't get a fair trial because of this.
Right.
And the judge is like, we're not going to let that happen. And we almost didn't have media at all in the courtroom. There was the media banded together, got a lawyer. They were filing motions back and forth, and eventually it came down to, okay, we'll allow the media, but I'll control it, and this is the fate we got. And so it's not the best situation. We'd like a better situation, but it's better than nothing. And honestly, we just need to hold our breath for a little while, because I don't want the same thing to happen to Brian Koberger next year.
Exactly. So it's only the Zoom feed is being broadcast. The press that's in there is allowed to, take notes and live tweet. It's a little bit of a different courthouse because they don't mess around in Idaho. I mean, Idaho law is very strict, which is why Judge Boyce did what he did in the Zoom feed and cutting it. But you can also eat in his courtroom. You can drink in his courtroom. You can be on your phone in his courtroom as long as it's quiet. So all of the public and reporters are, people are tweeting and stuff like that. But the bailiffs, there's a ton of bailiffs in there. And James, who's kind of like the head guy who deals with the public, is very good at making sure people's cameras are down. And he gives his speech every morning and keeps people in line. But, yeah, we definitely don't want that to happen with Koberger if they take it to Ada, because they could also take it to Canyon County, which is a smaller county.
I cannot see it going to Canyon. It's got to be Ada.
I think it would be Ada just because he's so well-versed in, how to deal with these high publicity trials. And the clerks are as well. I would think it would end up back in his courtroom. He's a great judge. He's funny. There's parts in the trial where he's definitely been either looking at memes or reading emails on his computer, because he has a different, like, his face changes from very serious to almost like there's a hint of a smile.
Does he have
and then he gets very serious.
Does he laugh out loud at opportune moments?
No. There've been a couple laugh out loud moments that have happened. But yeah, no, he's very all business. But he does crack a joke every now and then. He made some jokes about Pryor and the prosecution team arguing before he makes a ruling. That's been sort of a constant joke. Yeah. And he's like, can I rule first before you guys argue? It's just sort of been a constant ha-ha.
So Pryor is the defense attorney. That's Chad's attorney. One of the key moments that stood out to me in this trial was there was a moment when Mr. Pryor was questioning a witness, and he was asking how much property Chad Daybell had around his home. And the witness flipped around and said, well, you own it now. You tell me. Because Chad Daybell gave all the money he had to his lawyer, and that wasn't enough.
That was Anderson. That was the witness was Anderson, the real estate agent.
It's hilarious. He still, it costs more. The lawyer's very expensive, especially for this. And so he signed his property over to his lawyer. Right. So literally the lawyer was asking questions about how big his own property was, which is funny. And the witness called him out on it. And I think
I will tell you, there was a moment a few days ago where he came back and Pryor was like, I don't have any interest in this property, when he was questioning Emma. You guys live there. I don't live there. I don't this. So I think it was signed over as collateral, not so much that he may have a lien on it, but I don't think title is, so much in his name.
Title's not in his name, but it's just,
right.
For all intents and purposes,
it will be his. Yeah. What's interesting is there was a bunch of discussion about the cozy cone where the mattress was, the upstairs where Tammy was supposedly at, and then come downstairs. And you can see the property on it's either Realtor or Zillow. And you can see, you can see a shot of that cozy cone with 2 beds in it at one point, and then at one point it had 1 mattress in it. So that was kind of interesting too.
Yeah, this is crazy. As far as Idaho goes, the jury is determining right now if he's guilty.
Correct.
And they're not to consider at all the punishment. That's done in a second phase where it looks like the trial sort of restarts, and it could go for considerable time.
They said 9 months, I think, from the beginning, but the prosecution is sort of streamlined. They've cut a lot of stuff down and made it quicker, so I think it'll go a lot quicker, but it's going to be difficult. I can tell you the turning point was when they went over what happened to JJ and Tylee when they went through the excavation of their remains. There was not a juror that was not visibly upset, and the men, especially the older men, were crying very hard, which was a little bit surprising. I would think it was the women, but the older, like Phil Donahue and there's another one in the back. They were just so emotional.
Names changed to protect the juror's identity, but yeah.
Exactly.
This was terrible stuff. And as viewers, we did not see all this. Some of these pictures were withheld from the public.
Correct.
But the details of this, it's another heartbreaking case where you've got literally just a crazy guy who took his religion and spun it into something weird where his own religion does not claim him, and he became this sort of prophet, know-it-all. He was living principles that his religion says were wrong, but they didn't apply to him, and he was just like a law unto himself. And it was for what? Sex, power, money? Was that right? Those are the three motives that they were going for.
Yeah. Going into the case, a lot of the focus was on the religion part of it, but when you break it down, and there is a giant difference in watching it on, YouTube or a stream and being there. It's a different vibe because you're there with the defendant and it's so much more real.
Yeah.
That you get, okay, now this was just about the affair. He just wanted to be with her, and he didn't want the kids, and he didn't want the spouses, and so he used this to manipulate her and get her to sort of sign on to, what he wanted to do. Yeah. He's a bizarre dude. He's a very strange man. His kids are strange.
He did not testify in his own defense, right?
No.
I doubt at this point there will be any comments from him. I mean, even at sentencing, I don't think he'll make a comment. But if he did, it would probably be on par with everything you heard during the trial. I don't think he's there yet. I think he still is in his own world upstairs.
I know that Lori, when she was in lockup recently, was doing sock puppets. So I think the two of them have just sort of lost it. They're just not home anymore. But he's more like, he's sociopathic. It's very strange. He's got a huge grip over his kids, which was very visible when they were testifying. They really just believe him wholeheartedly, even though they tried to sort of put it, I'm more traditional LDS and I don't follow what he follows. They definitely were, they were sucked into his mindset. I mean, you can see it in the body cam, the car video, where you can actually see him move for the first time, his head turn. Yeah. And his daughter, Emma, is crying, but she's not crying because they found murdered children on the property. She's crying because her dad's being arrested.
Man.
And there was a lot of questions that were left. Like, is Melanie Pulowski going to end up with charges because of her involvement on the phone calls that Ian recorded, essentially admissions that she tried to have her ex Brandon killed? But, I think one of the toughest things that really, I will tell you, one of the toughest things that really got me, and maybe it's a pet peeve, but as I'm there and, I developed a bond with Larry. He's a sweet man. And, we just chat every day, and people are coming up and taking pictures with him. And I'm thinking, this is not a TV show. This man lost.
It's not CrimeCon, right? If he were at CrimeCon, it would be a different situation where you've got family members who are like, look, I do want to talk about it. I do want to, get the word out or spread the message or, advocate for change.
Right.
That's very different than somebody who is there as a victim in a courthouse.
Right. And he's so gracious and kind, and he does it, and he's sweet to everybody. And it makes me so upset. So if anybody goes and watches a trial, please don't go up and take pictures with the victim's family. It's very rude.
Bad form. We are seconds away from court coming back.
Yes.
Are you watching with us? Are you up there? Where are you at right now?
I am not there right now. I'm so upset, but I had to go to the hospital yesterday.
Oh, no.
So yeah, I know. So I am. Thank you. So I will be back there for the death phase. Let's see, we leave tomorrow.
I like that
so
we
yeah,
all
I'll be
just
back there for
assume
the
there's
death
a
phase.
foregone conclusion on the verdict. Okay.
Oh yeah, based on their facial expressions, yeah.
Yeah.
If you want to see the breakdown, I did do a breakdown on my channel. I put like who the celebrities were, and I put some facial expressions that the closest match to the facial expressions they were making. So
I think we've got a link
funny.
we can put up for your channel.
Oh, thank you. That's sweet.
We'll put it up there. But
Very,
Nicole,
very
thank
sweet.
you very much.
But
I know we had some other friends that were there in the courthouse as well. Did you meet anybody?
Wait,
they're back.
Oh, okay. I'll call you later.
Okay, bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
Thank you so much, Nicole, for that. We're just waiting for audio. I guess while we wait for audio, I'll do this. Waiting for the judge to take the bench. All rise. Here we go. Judge is walking in.
Thank you. Please be seated.
There we go. There's our hype music. When they're quiet, it's so quiet in this
All right, I
courtroom.
apologize. It'll take me a moment here to get logged on, and then we'll get started.
Judge, you need a reminder on the password, or it just should be on the sticky note under the keyboard. It's just number one judge, all caps. All right. No, I haven't followed this case. I mean, I've followed it, but I haven't followed it day in and day out, and I'm still super excited. I'll try to be really quiet. Like I say, when it's quiet, it's silent here. It is a big courtroom. It's almost like a conference room, like a meeting
Okay,
room.
we're on the record on case CR 22-21-1623, State of Idaho versus Chad Guy Daybell. The court's been advised that the jury has reached a verdict. The court will note the parties are present. The state's present with Mr. Wood, Miss Blake, Mr. Wixom, and Miss Beatty. Mr. Pryor's here representing the defendant, Mr. Daybell, and the court at this time is going to instruct the jurors to please be brought into the courtroom. That will include our alternate jurors as well to be seated. And then I will have the marshal get the verdict form from the jury once they return to the courtroom. So if they can come in at this time, we'll have them brought in.
So the judge sequestered the jury. It's not something we see often, but they literally were kept at a hotel. He also sequestered the alternates. So everyone was sequestered for this duration. So it wasn't very long, but it was just an overnight. The jury took about 7 hours to reach a verdict, 6 to 7 hours. Mr. Daybell is on the top right corner. He's standing with the yellow tie. His attorney, Mr. Pryor, is right next to him. The other window, you can see the view of the prosecution. That's the team there. And I think you can tell which one's the judge. I love that the alternates are here.
Thank you. Please be seated. All right, the court's going to next just make a reference that there is a courtroom conduct order in effect in this proceeding to remain in effect. So I appreciate everyone complying with that order, as most of you have done throughout the proceedings in this case. At this time, then, the first matter I'd like to take up is to do a roll call of the jury for the record. So, Madam Clerk, if you could please conduct a roll call of our jury to make sure they're all present and properly seated at this time.
Juror number 1, red card number 27. Juror number 2, red card number 219. Juror number 4, red card number 631. Juror number 5, red card number 653. Juror number 7, red card number 752. Juror number 8, red card 1680. Juror number 9, red card number 823. Juror number 10, red card 1358. Present. Juror number 11, red card 1365. Juror number 12, red card 716. Present. Juror number 14, red card 997. Present. And juror number 15, red card 1078.
All right. Thank you, Madam Clerk, for conducting the roll call. All right, at this time, I'm next going to inquire from the jury foreperson. Has the jury reached a verdict? All right, thank you. Mr. Bailiff, if you would please retrieve the verdict from the jury foreperson. Thank you.
Judge is reviewing the verdict right now.
All right, the court has reviewed the verdict form. I'll note that all counts have been properly marked, as well as the verdict form's been properly dated and signed by the foreperson. The next step then is Mr. Daybell, if you and counsel would please rise. I'm going to have the clerk read the verdict.
In the District Court of the 7th Judicial District of the State of Idaho and for the County of Fremont. State of Idaho Plaintiff versus Chad Guy Daybell Defendant. Case number CR 22211623. Verdict. We, the jury, duly impaneled and sworn to try the above entitled action for our verdict, unanimously answer the questions submitted to us as follows. Question number 1. In regards to count 1 of the amended indictment, is Chad Guy Daybell not guilty or guilty of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder of Tylee Ryan and grand theft by deception? Guilty. Question number 2. In regards to count 2 of the amended indictment, is Chad Guy Daybell not guilty or guilty of first-degree murder of Tylee Ryan? Guilty. Question number 3. In regards to count 3 of the amended indictment, is Chad Guy Daybell not guilty or guilty of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder of Joshua Jackson Vallow and grand theft by deception? Guilty. Question number 4. In regards to count 4 of the amended indictment, is Chad Guy Daybell not guilty or guilty of first-degree murder of Joshua Jackson Vallow? Guilty. Question number 5. In regards to count 5 of the amended indictment, is Chad Guy Daybell not guilty or guilty of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder of Tamara Tammy Daybell? Guilty. Question number 6. In regards to count 6 of the amended indictment, is Chad Guy Daybell not guilty or guilty of first-degree murder of Tamara Tammy Daybell? Guilty. Question number 7. In regards to count 7 of the amended indictment, is Chad Guy Daybell not guilty or guilty of insurance fraud? Guilty. Question number 8. In regards to count 8 of the amended indictment, in regards to count 9 of the amended indictment, is Chad Guy Daybell not guilty or guilty of insurance fraud? Guilty. Dated this 30th day of May, 2024, and signed by the presiding juror.
We have guilties all the way across the board.
All right, Madam Clerk, thank you for reading the verdict. At this time, I'm just going to collectively ask the jurors, all of you, is this in fact your unanimous verdict on each of those counts? Very well. At this time, I'm going to inquire if the parties wish to have the jury polled. Does the state wish to have the jury polled?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Does the defense, Mr. Pryor, wish to have the jury polled?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Very well, then. I'm going to direct the clerk to record the verdict. At this time, then, this does conclude the guilt phase of this trial. Because the defendant has been convicted on counts of first-degree murder and conspiracy to commit first-degree murder, the state has filed a notice of intent to seek the death penalty, and so a second phase of this trial, called the sentencing phase, will be taking place next. We're going to take a recess at this time for approximately an hour. We will come back on the record and begin with the start of that sentencing phase of the trial. I would like to remind everyone that this courtroom conduct order is still in application throughout these proceedings. Thank you all for complying with that. We are going to take that recess at this time. Mr. Daybell is to remain in custody at this time for the commencement of the sentencing phase. And with that, thank you all, and we will be in recess.
All right, please.
Okay, give me just a second. I'm going to recreate this over on Top Mark so we can have a recording over there. All right, I'm going to play that verdict again for Top Mark. Just 1 second as they're leaving. Let's see. There we go. Make sure the audio is working for them. All right. I apologize. For some reason, or as soon as they went to verdict, audio cut out on Top Mark. We heard it on RA. We just make sure. Make sure that's playing properly. Can somebody tell me on Top Mark Media if it's working now? If the audio is working on Top Mark Media? All right. Wow. Verdicts across the board. Guilty verdict across the board. Virginia, I'm sorry. We tried to do everything for everyone and it didn't work that way. Still no. Hang on one second.
Court at this time instructs to be brought into the courtroom. That will include our alternate jurors as well.
Hey, Amber, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Don't touch anything else. It's working.
Like right now, right when I did it?
Yes.
Okay.
Like right now, right when I did it.
Okay. All right. I'll turn the volume down on my TV. All right, so it's going to play the verdict for Top Mark. I apologize, but it's going to play that over there.
Okay, I'm hanging up. Bye.
Okay, bye. Hopefully Top Mark does not have my audio. Is that correct? Like, not my voice? I can't tell which one Amber's listening to. So the echoes from Amber. Don't touch anything else per Amber. All right. Justice prevails. Any thoughts? Anyone surprised by guilties across the board? We've got an hour break before they start the sentencing phase. The sentencing phase is because death penalty is on the table, and that I believe it's the same jury that deliberates. So first they just determine guilt, and now they determine what the penalty will be. We have never seen a court case just on this channel where death penalty was the outcome. No surprise, not a bit surprised. Jury got it right. Wiped the smirks off his face. My guess on penalty is death. So as far as the death penalty goes, time-wise, the trial is a little different. It looks a lot like an actual guilt and innocence trial, where they will call witnesses and they'll talk, but you'll hear more about the defendant, about his life, about good things and bad things he's done, and it can be a lot of the same stuff over again. But they don't have to go over everything because the jury heard it already once before. Good and bad things, you say? Mostly just bad, I think. Next phase starts in an hour. We're gonna return to our other trial. We have a trial in Tennessee we're following, the hot tub trial, which got really spicy today. Not as spicy as previous days, but it's been interesting. Anybody? Do we want any thoughts on this before we leave Daybell and jump back over to the other trial? Anybody need to call in and just get something off their chest? Appropriately, of course. Sleepy Vapor says, I'm very glad my country doesn't have death penalty, but I think that if you as a people have decided to have death penalty as an option, Chad is the kind that deserves it. They do have death penalty in Idaho, and yes, this is a death penalty eligible case, especially now that he's found guilty of those charges. Are we going to watch the sentencing? The sentencing is going to happen later. It might be, I don't know, it might be days from now. Does anyone have a time schedule on how long the sentencing phase is going to go? I didn't see. I was looking at audio. I didn't see any reaction from the courtroom. It was quiet, but the mics are situated so that it sounds quiet, even if it's not. Kim, it's not the sentencing, it's the death penalty phase. It's phase 2 of the trial. So the first phase that we just watched was guilt and innocence. The jury came back with a guilty verdict on all charges. Now, this same jury is going to determine what the penalty is for those guilty verdicts. Other states, the judge would determine that. But here, the jury gets to decide. This is in Idaho. Same state that Brian Koberger's in. Same state that Lori Daybell was charged. Well, do we add Daybell to her name? Did she really get married or not? I don't know. Do you know if the jury stays sequestered? I don't believe they stay sequestered for this portion. That would really be terrible if they did. Jury doesn't get a rest phase. No, they don't even get a break. I mean, well, I get an hour, but, you know, go grab a drink, run to the bathroom, come back. We're going to start again. It's not done yet. Could be days or weeks, says GA Mom, 2 boys. It starts today, but it's like a trial within a trial. I thought I heard 2 weeks for the sentencing phase. Can they talk about it between themselves now? I don't know, Nicola. That's a great question. Why didn't Lori get the death penalty? She was basically charged with most of the same crimes. The problem was the prosecutors in her case made a mistake in discovery. That's the evidence that they have to turn over to the defense. And there was something they didn't turn over that they should have by a certain time. And because of that mistake, there are consequences, just like within the J Hatch trial, there are sanctions, and the judge ordered that the prosecution loses the right to pursue the death penalty in the Lori Vallow case because of the mistake they made. It's one of the few things he can do. I mean, how else would you punish the state for doing something inappropriate and not following the law as far as that goes? Jury has not been released from anything, so no, they can't talk, but they did talk already. Lori Vallow will never get out. She's in life in prison without parole. She will serve until her natural death, I believe, or unnatural, which I'm not a big fan of. I believe I'm not a fan of jailhouse justice. You explain when the jury decides on the penalty and when the judge does. I don't understand what the differences are. Ivy, it's actually a state issue, state by state. These are not federal courts. As a matter of fact, federal courts are not open to cameras for for almost every situation. You just have each state makes their own laws, and the legislature makes rules, and they decide how the judicial system will function in their state. So for Idaho and a couple other states, they have this death penalty phase. There are other states where the jurors are told you're not supposed to consider at all, or even, for any, know what the penalty could be if it's a guilty verdict. That's up to the judge. That's not for you. They take it off their hands altogether. So it varies. So every time we have a different court case, it could be a different set of laws that we're dealing with in that state. Even though we're all in the United States of America, we don't have united laws other than federal laws, which oversee everybody. Never knew they punished mistakes made by the prosecution by taking the death penalty off the table. That's just one of the things they can do. When you think about it, Lenova, if the prosecution does something wrong, what would be the penalty? How do you rectify that in a trial? You say you can't just have the prosecution, breaking the rules. If there's a piece of evidence that they acquired illegally, you could say, oh, that's fruit of the poisonous tree. That's not allowed in. But if they just neglected to tell you that there's a witness that's going to be brought in that you should know about, then what? They have to. There's not many options other than sort of reducing the maximum penalty they can pursue. Let's see. Top Mark is real time already. I was just doing that right now. I just replayed the sentencing for them because I messed up the audio on their part. That was my fault. I apologize. DSN member for 15 months says, RA, are you hydrated? I am. This is bottle number 4 today. But I have not had lunch or a break other than that. I thought they'd just drop charges, I don't know, right up the prosecutor. That would be an option, but in a case like this that is just ridiculously expensive, it could mean hundreds of thousands of dollars to drop the charges and refile and go again, and then huge delays, and then you have issues of is that just for the defendant? Is that okay for them? Can Lori get the death penalty in Arizona? I believe she can. Am I a camel? No, I'm not a camel. Why don't you take a break? Because I'm addicted to true crime, and so much stuff has been happening today. I haven't had a chance. Max Bang says Tylee's grandparents are going to bring charges against his adult kids. Buckle up. It would be civil. Is that what you're talking about? Like a civil suit against them? Because charges generally talks about a legal, like an allegation of a crime. But if the parents bring it, that would probably be a civil suit, which there are often civil suits that follow and precede criminal trials. Does the jury decide sentencing? Yes, in Idaho they do, in a separate phase. So in a separate little mini trial after the main trial. And that starts in 1 hour, or less than an hour now. About 40 minutes or so. Seems a strange punishment wouldn't be more protecting defendants' rights. That's what it's doing. The defendant is not getting a fair trial because, or in Lori Vallow's case, she was not getting a fair trial because she's entitled, and her lawyers are entitled to have all the discovery by a certain point. Discovery is information, evidence that's going to be used against you. It's evidence that could be exculpatory to show that, hey, maybe you didn't do it. You know, if the state finds something that could be used as an alibi, you don't have any proof yourself, but the state finds it, they have to turn it over to you as a defendant. They have to say, look, we found this. Obviously, we're not going to tell the jury about it, but you are entitled to know that we found this in our investigation. And it was something along those lines that they had not turned over that she's entitled to have. And because of that, to protect her rights, they took the death penalty off the table for her. Arizona had the death penalty. Not sure if she qualifies. Did they change? That'll be tricky because it might depend on when the charges were filed, and not necessarily when the law was passed. Depends how the law was written. Reed trial is off till next, I think it's Tuesday of next week. Is it Monday or Tuesday? Let's see. I wanted to ask, when did you get into streaming live court feeds? Well, it's been about 18 months, year and a half ago. That's when I started. Before then, I was doing metal detecting videos, and nobody watched them. I still like metal detecting, though. It is so much fun. Best sport ever. Best hobby. It's not really a sport. Let's see. Florida juries decide the sentencing as well. Oh, court Monday, off on Tuesday. The techno music it's a little bit of a tradition on the channel that a lot of times we've sat through just incredibly boring and tedious moments in trial, and it's just for the moment to sort of get us back up caught up and emotionally and everything else in the trial, and it works. Name 3 lost treasures. My personal favorite find, I would have to say, would be firearms. I like finding firearms. Finding a $5 gold coin from 1834, I think it was. That was really cool. And let's see, what else? I like Indian head pennies. I realize they're not worth much, but Indian head penny is great. What is the oldest treasure? The oldest treasure I found, as far as coins, the 1834. But I found like tax tokens and things like that. Some cool bits of history. It's mostly just history. Most of it is useless, or is worthless. I think I found maybe 150 rings around that area. Most of them are junk rings. A couple dozen good ones, a few gold, a lot of silver. Could be a witness of the case. Yeah. But usually the firearms I find are really corroded. Bomb was a fun one, but I didn't use a metal detector to find that one. No metal detector involved in finding that bomb. Brian and Jill says, full disclosure, I met and worked with Chad Daybell. He was in Utah many years ago, worked at for our local paper, and followed me around for a few days doing an article. Yes, he was creepy. Brian, wow. Close contact of the creepy kind. Are there certain places that are better for finding things? Yes, Lenova. I prefer to search places where people have been before and where they've dropped them. That's it. If you're in the Sahara Desert, you probably don't have as much chance of finding a gold ring as you do at Myrtle Beach. It's just a fact. It's still sand everywhere, but it needs to be dropped there for you to find it. Was the Brooks case the first you covered? Yes, it was. Could he get the death penalty? Valerie, yes, very, very likely. Very likely. If you haven't followed this case, the facts of this case are pretty brutal, and just especially with the two children, with Tylee and JJ, the way they were killed. We don't know about Tylee just because the body was destroyed and burned, so that they don't know a cause of death. But with JJ, the fact pattern that came out, knowing that his arms were duct taped together. And duct tape around his neck and a plastic bag over his head. It's just this guy had major issues. And then in his texts, when we think that the murder occurred, he was texting and saying, "Oh, I killed a raccoon, a big raccoon, so I burned it." It's. Do you ever do Q&A with RA videos? Like what? We've done. We've done like panels where you just give everyone the opportunity to join on via video. We've done that a time or two before. Thal, can we go metal detecting in old Civil War battle sites? Yes, if they're private. No, if they're state. It depends on state laws, and you have to brush up on the antiquity law too. Just know that the laws are not in our favor in the United States as far as old things. They like to think that old things either belong in the ground or mostly just in the ground. They don't want anyone to find them. They'd rather they rot in the ground than somebody finds it and puts it on display. No, like we ask you questions, fire away right now. Aria's panel is how I found Ada K. It is awesome. Consider throwing in YouTube tutoring with rental of Airbnb. I do have an Airbnb. I've had 2 renters. Successful, both of them. Good reviews on both. We're looking at a long-term rental for nurses in it is what we're doing, but I've not thought about a package deal. Like we asked, Deer Park versus Mountain Dew. Oh man, Lenova. That's hard. All right, we are sitting here for the penalty phase. I'm not sure if we're going to watch it. I think it might be best to jump back to our trial that we're following during the break, or we're never going to get through all this trial during the air traffic control break. How do you listen to air traffic? I said air traffic. ACs, I read ahead and I say what I read. How do you listen to air traffic like, say, helicopters with fire buckets behind my house? Air traffic with fire buckets, you're going to have to be listening on the fire channels. You'll probably need a police scanner, most likely a trunking police scanner to follow that. I think Scanner Master website might put you in touch with some. It used to be that Radio Shack would sell a ton of them, but Radio Shack is just the shell of a company it used to be. Uniden makes a good trunked radio that you can use for scanning police and air traffic control. And they'll also pre-program the frequencies in your area if you buy through them and pay them a little bit of money. I use the app on the phone, like a police scanner app, but that uses people who have that scanner that then connect it to the internet. So if there are things in your area you want to listen to, having a physical police scanner with an antenna up on your roof or outside or something will enable you to hear what happens locally. And then you can post that on the internet for other people to listen to as well. And you can actually make money doing that. You can monetize police audio streams.
Call from Fact. Blackbird.
Hey, Blackbird. This is R.A. How are you doing?
Hey, what's going on?
You know,
it's been a while.
It has. We haven't talked in for like ages. How are you doing?
You know, I'm doing good. This is just a monumental moment, and I was wondering why you were. I might have been behind though. Why were you talking about technology things?
Mostly because a question came up in chat, and I just
I figured. I haven't been. I've been all spread out, let's say, in the last couple of days. There's been a lot going on. But this is a monumental moment, and I wanted to share it with my community.
Yeah, it's crazy. I assume you're talking about this verdict, and
yeah.
It's been a long time coming. For those that have followed this case, it's been in the news for a long time. This developed sort of in the public eye. This developed as news stories were running, and people were asking, "Where are your kids, Chad? Or Lori? Where are your kids?" And so the public got involved early on in this case, and much like Brian Koberger, where we sort of knew some of his actions and his travel across the country and his trip back to Idaho via plane. It's these sort of cases tend to get a lot of interest as we're involved early on. Especially when there's questions, when the police are asking, say, if anybody has any information on this, if you check your video cameras, that's a quick way to get a lot of interest. And so a lot of people have followed this for a long time and really been invested in this one. So this is a huge moment for that.
Yeah, and I just want to say, great job to Lindsay Blake. Is it Blake? Last name Blake, I think. There's another prosecutor that's similar, but I just think they did a good job at spelling out the story and repeating the story, and whether you agree with the verdict or not, I just think it was a well laid case, and they had another chance, so maybe that was that was part of it. But
they got to prep with Lori. And then do the final with Chad. Mrs. R.A. says, "Hey, is there a bird in your chimney?" This is funny because Mrs. R.A. once called me on the ham radio and said, "Hey, you need to come home because there's a bird in our chimney," which is funny.
I had a bird, a baby bird, a blue jay of all birds, fall directly in front of me, flat on my hood yesterday. So, speaking of birds, I don't have very good luck with wildlife lately, if you remember, but there have been a lot of bird things going on here.
Tell me about the birds in the background. We heard some birds tweeting. Which ones are those?
This is just a happy place.
That's wonderful.
It's just a happy vibe here. So, anyway, I just wanted to say hey and touch base with y'all. And
thank you, Blackbird. It's good to hear your voice again. Glad you're doing well.
Likewise. We'll talk to you later.
All right. See you. Bye. All right. We have a couple other things. The girls in the Airbnb case are being charged. It's actually just one. I think it's just Riley. Let me do a quick. That's Judge McBurney's courtroom. Give me just 1 second. We followed the Airbnb trial earlier. We had two defendants. One was pro se, and one had an attorney, and they were at the same time. Judge McBurney. Let's see if I can find him here. There he is. Let's jump in really quickly and see what's happening here.
That you be assigned to a mental health probation officer. That's someone who's trained to work with someone who is actively processing a mental health issue. Someone who will know the signs of when you're not taking your medication and know the signs when you are and not be alarmed if you're lethargic and not think, uh-oh, what's she smoking? No, she's not smoking anything. She's taking medication, and the side effect is that she behaves a little bit.
Do we have to back up a little bit?
But that's also someone who's going to be on you if you're not taking your medication, because it will also be a special condition of your probation that you need to take any prescribed medication. So if a doctor says you need to take this,
I'm going to back up. I think we missed some of the sentence. Let's see if we can go back just a few minutes. He is a very verbose judge. This is the final defendant to be sentenced. The other girl who was sort of her conspirator was sentenced to basically probation, and it was a lengthy probation.
To not only be around gang members, but to also continue to, push dangerous narcotics through the streets of Atlanta. So that.
Let's see when she turns to the judge.
All from this case. There was the initial.
I don't know when they actually start with the sentencing. I just wanted to jump to the very end.
Insurance and everything by the time any kind of custodial sentence ends. I just don't want, and for the first offender, this is something we had to discuss.
Does he have like a boxing glove on his shoulder?
Because given the number of charges that she's entering a plea to under first offender plea, she's essentially got in excess of the rest of her life hanging over her head.
Right.
And, I had grave concerns. I had concerns because of the mental health issues. I had concerns because of what happened during this case about whether or not first offender was going to be a good fit for Miss Riley. And, after lengthy discussions there, that was the decision that she made.
She got first offender as well.
Weighing the potential consequences, and I could not have laid those out in more explicit terms, I think, as far as what she potentially could be looking at. That was the decision that she wanted to make, and so that is why we're asking for that. And I think that really indicates strongly to this court how she sees the future trajectory of her life going.
Okay.
Oh, and Miss Riley would like to make an acceptance statement.
I will certainly hear from her. Anything, I don't want to make sure if you wanted to add anything, and it may be it's all been spoken.
I don't have anything additional, Judge. I'm a relative newcomer to this case. Mr. Kelly here is, like you said, it's been nearly
5 years.
5 years, over 5 years. I don't have anything to add. We've talked many times about where we see this case going, and we're kind of there, and that's our joint recommendation.
Okay. Ms. Riley, I'm going to hear from you in 1 second. If there is something you want to say. Mr. Hiles, I'm assuming that if I accept this plea, we go forward with the plea to the accusation, you will be moving to dismiss or null pros 20 SC 176922 as it applies to Ms. Riley.
Yes.
Okay. Ma'am.
Okay. I'm here today to accept full responsibility for my actions. For any sorrow, pain, or adversity that I've caused, I apologize sincerely. I understand how traumatic the events I participated in could be for the victims, as I would never want anybody I love to go through that as well. I was acting off immaturity and impulsivity. During that time period, I was struggling mentally and did not realize the large impact that this would have on all of our lives. I have learned a lot during my incarceration and should have initially taken accountability for all my actions, including my most recent arrest. I apologize for my involvement with the wrong people as well as my involvement in these wrongful acts. I regret them deeply with a full heart and am prepared to accept the consequences of my actions.
Okay. Well, thank you, Ms. Riley.
Those are the right words.
Tell me why you think when you get out, because you will get out, this is not a forever sentence. And because of the way Mr. Hiles structured your accusation, the case you're pleading to, you're eligible for parole on whatever sentence I impose. So while you're still young, you'll be out. How are things going to be different so that Mr. Keller here and you aren't back in here and we're talking again about now it's a third time?
Well, I would like to get a proper job, have a proper career. When I was on house arrest, I didn't really get much opportunity to look for a career because I was in college and then I had to, put a hiatus in. I wasn't able to attend. So I would like to get a proper job. That would be a start. Get a proper home, stability, just try to be a proper citizen of America and do the right thing.
I know it's early and family situations are complicated, but as I said, you will get out at some point. It may seem like a long time from now. It won't be all that long from now. Will you have a place to go when you get out? Or are you going to have to start out wondering, where's the roof I put over my head? And almost immediately you'll be in a stressful, difficult situation.
Yes, my mom said I could stay with her.
Okay.
And Your Honor, Ms. Riley is present behind me here in the courtroom today.
Thank you for being here, Ms. Riley. That's great, because that's sort of step one when you get out. Too often people are released and they literally get dumped off in the streets where the trouble began. And that's often what repeats itself. Ms. Riley, I find there is a factual basis for your plea. I'm very familiar with the facts and circumstances of what I'll call part one of your case, the home invasion. I learned through handling your bond and whatnot a bit about the second part of your case, the more recent drug business in which you were involved with Mr. Pierce. Is that the right name? Yes. Mr. Pierce. So I do think that had you gone to trial, the state could prove all this up. I also find that your plea is knowing and voluntary. Voluntary means that no one's forcing you to do this. And you said as much in your statement that you're accepting responsibility for all this. Knowing means that you've understood the many things that Mr. Heil said, Mr. Keller here has said, and the bit I've said. Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
Any questions about any of the things we've discussed?
No, sir.
All right. Mr. Keller here, can we sign your name to the indictment electronically in the accusation indicating your client's plea?
Yes.
Mr. Hiles?
Yes, Your Honor.
And Ms. Riley, is it okay if we sign your name on the indictment?
Yes.
We'll do that. I need to talk to you a little bit about first offender. I know you've talked about it a great deal with your lawyers, but you and I have to talk about it as well. First offender is meant to be an opportunity for someone who has not been convicted of a crime before. Your situation is more complicated because this is going to be your first conviction. When I say it's complicated for me. But it's really two different things. And the state easily could have said, we're prosecuting them differently, and you would have had two convictions and could only use first offender on one. But one of the ways in which I think the state is acknowledging some of the steps you've taken to address this, to include your cooperation, is by packaging the two cases into one indictment so that you're eligible for first offender. That means that you wouldn't have legally a conviction. You're going to go to prison. But when you get out and you're on probation, if you're looking for work and you've told me you want a proper job, you don't have to check that box on an application that often means, never mind, throw this away on the application. That's, are you a convicted felon? That's a good thing. But there's risk associated with it. And I can count 250 risks. That's how many years I could sentence you to if I sentenced you to the maximum in this case. 250 years if I stacked every count on top. I'm not doing that today, and I don't think I'd do that if we had to get back together again because you got first offender and it didn't go well, because you hit some stress in your life and you stopped taking medication or whatever the reason is. It really wouldn't matter the reason. If you got arrested again for anything to do with theft or drugs or guns or anything like that, we'd be having a conversation not about your new charges, but about this case. And I did the math twice, so I think it's right. It's 250 years that I have to work with to say, gosh, Ms. Riley, we gave you not one, but two chances, two different cases packaged into one, first offender, and things didn't work out. It's just not safe for you or for others for you to be out and about. And you're young, but you're not that young. I could say, hey, 40 years, and then you're not young when you get out. So there's a lot of risk associated with first offender that's not there if you simply plead guilty and this is a conviction. But then it's a conviction, and finding a job is harder, among other things, going back to school, et cetera. Do you feel like you've had enough time to think about first offender?
Yes.
And having thought about it and having had your lawyer talk to you forcefully about the risks, What is your position on whether you want to be sentenced as a first offender?
I would like to be. I'm not going to commit any more crimes or be involved with any of that ever again. So I should be able to complete my first offenders.
And why is it that you feel so certain about that right now, that you wouldn't be involved with those kinds of things? Clearly something was attractive to you about the lifestyle that you felt you were participating in with Voss Coleman and Mr. Pritchett and then this Mr. Pierce guy. Why won't that still be kind of alluring to you 6-7 years from now?
Well, this is not fun. This is not a cool lifestyle. This is, I mean,
being in jail?
Yes, being in jail, but as well as the harm and the traumatics that come with that lifestyle. I don't want to be a part of that anymore. And I'm ready to move forward with my life.
Okay. Ms. Riley, I'm sentencing you pursuant to the Probation Options Management Act. What that means is that for the portion of your sentence that you are on probation, if you have a minor issue on probation, you and probation can work through that. But if it's more significant, and significant would mean you get arrested for anything, or there's just online information that you're consorting with gang members again, that's going to come back to me. And that's going to be doubly problematic. It's a violation of your probation, but that's the kind of thing that would prompt me, if I decide to sentence you as a first offender, to take away your first offender status, which means resentencing. And if I resentence you, it's not going to be to less time than you've already been sentenced to. It will be to more.
Okay.
There's your warning.
All right. I'm going to sentence you on counts. I guess it's all the counts, 1 through 11, to a term of 18 years to serve 8 years with the balance on probation.
Wow.
You have several special conditions. One special condition is that you continue your cooperation with the various authorities with whom you're cooperating. And that doesn't just mean that you talk with them, but that if you're subpoenaed to testify, you provide truthful testimony. You've done that before. You know what that involves.
She gets credit time served.
To do that. Second, no contact with any of your co-defendants in either of, I know you're pleading to one accusation, but it's kind of two cases. So no contact with Kalish or Pritchett or Robinson, and then no contact with Pierce or Pierce's mom. Obviously no contact with any of the victims in the home invasion case. And I know you knew a couple of them. That's how you got the invite. But you don't reach out to them to say, again, I'm so sorry for what happened, or a dumb reason like, I'm gonna get you because you guys told the police about what happened. They move forward as best they can while you move forward as best you can, but you don't overlap in any way. I'm going to recommend that when you are on probation, that you be assigned to a mental health probation officer. That's someone who's trained to work with someone who is actively processing a mental health issue. Someone who will know the signs of when you're not taking your medication and know the signs when you are, and not be alarmed if you're lethargic and not think, uh-oh, what's she smoking? No, she's not smoking anything. She's taking medication, and the side effect is that she behaves a little bit differently. But that's also someone who's going to be on you if you're not taking your medication, because it will also be a special condition of your probation that you need to take any prescribed medication. So if the doctor says you need to take this, you need to take it. It's not optional. If it's giving you strange side effects, then what you do is talk to the doctor to say, we need a different thing. I have a family member who has had to cycle through a variety of medications to treat one of the things you described because of the side effects. And the doctor says, great, we have different ways to come at it. This is the most direct, but it makes you feel terrible. So let's try this one. And you need to handle it the same way. If there's a medication that's disagreeing with you, instead of saying, I'm going to throw those pills away, then you talk to the doctor and say, what's a different way we can address this concern? Understand?
Yes.
All right. I'll also recommend to the Department of Corrections, and all I can do is recommend that you have a mental health evaluation when you get to the diagnostic facility. So you'll go from I think you're at the city jail, but you're in county custody now. You'll go from there to state custody. And all the female inmates go to the same place, and they figure out what's the best prison to go to for the remainder of your sentence. And they should do a mental health evaluation, but I have learned, unfortunately, very little information gets transmitted from the county to the state. And so they may have no idea that you've been taking the medication you've been taking. Obviously, you need to pipe up, but if I put on your sentence that I recommend they give you an evaluation, that's just a clue, a signal that they ought to engage with you on making sure your mental health needs are being addressed while you're in state custody. You also, as a special condition of your probation, need to have, I don't think I said this, no contact with any known gang members. So when you get out, you hit Instagram and you maybe feel a little tug of, I remember these guys or this lifestyle, just know that you're violating your probation if in the end it gets reported to Mr. Hiles, hey, check out this social media, and there you are flashing the signs and you're with these guys or gals, it doesn't really matter their gender, but you're back in that mix. That is a surefire way to have your probation revoked, some amount of it. 10 years is a long time on probation, but I'm doing that on purpose because I want to make sure that you get some supervision for a while as you get out, because you'll be making some adjustments. Life will be difficult while you're in custody, but it's also real simple because you don't need to worry about working. You don't need to worry about what your next meal is coming from. And you don't have access to a lot of the temptations and distractions that you'd have when you're out. And I'm going to want to know that for a few years, you've hit a stable spot and we aren't seeing you back in here, but you figured out a way to move forward in a healthy manner that doesn't risk your safety or, equally important, the safety of others like Mr. Carmody or any other victims in the case, your case number one. Mr. Hiles, anything else in Ms. Riley's case?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Ms. Riley, I didn't say this. It will happen as a matter of law, but it always helps to hear it from the judge. You'll get credit for all the time you served and both chunks of time. You served a little bit of time before you got your first bond. You served a lot of time since you got rearrested after the second situation. Each one of those days and weeks and months goes towards those 8 years that you need to serve. Okay?
Okay.
Do you have any questions about anything I said?
No, sir.
Mr. Keller here, anything else on behalf of Ms. Riley?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, I want to thank you for your continued representation. You've helped Ms. Riley navigate this as best you can. She might have benefited if you rode in the car with her everywhere she went, but you can't do that, and that's not what you were hired to do. But I appreciate your services and your colleagues as he came in later on in the process. And Mr. Hiles, as always, thank you for being prepared in this case.
So she gets 8 years to serve, probably credit for time served.
Yes.
I was actually about
Did
to
you
ask
hear
that?
Judge, if we could, did you mention whether you were going to sentence her under first offender?
I didn't, and I am.
Okay. Just wanted to.
It wasn't meant to be secret. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to leave that hanging. I got focused on a couple of the other things on the list, but it is.
Thank you, Judge.
All right. There she goes. This was the Airbnb home invasion trial that turned into be a gang trial. We learned a ton about gangs, and during the gang trial, we listened. It's a whole day. We just learned about gang signs, gang rap, everything, and we determined that the only thing left to do was to make our own rap song. So I wrote the lyrics, and we had some help from chat and AI. We came up with a song of our own for the channel, and here it is.
Wake up in the morning wearing headphones. I'm running court into your brain like it's an end zone. My money's green like the pickles and you want some. Don't interrupt cause I don't want your lame objection. From land t-shirts to murder, I think I've seen it all. From picking juries to when the gavel falls. The judge takes the bench and the bailiff yells all rise. And pay respect to the one and only go to true crime. Imitators they try but they just can't achieve. And when they fail, they be like, ow, I stepped on a beat. Take the stand and the jury chooses not to believe. Because there will never be another creator like me. Big deal in one corner and the count in another. We've got the judge reading chat while we talk to the lawyers. All our clips go viral, they're the good not to share. Came in late, check the thumbnails, you'll find it all there. They say I'm addicted to rhyme, but it's more than just time. And the mic is hot, the gavel drops, and I'll be talking about crime. And don't you worry about the sound, cause I'm keeping it real, just like a pickle jar, but I'm one big deal. They say I'm addicted to rhyme, but it's more than just time. And the mic is hot, the gavel drops, and I'll be talking about crime. And don't you worry about the sound, cause I'm keeping it real, just like a pickle jar, but I'm one big deal.
There you go. That's our big deal rap we put together in honor of this trial. It was a lot of fun. Anyway, we'll just fade that one out there. That was good. All right. What next? Where do we go to? We've had the Daybell sentencing, Daybell verdict. We've got just a few minutes before Daybell comes back with the next phase. I'm not going to follow it live here. It is live over on Top Mark Media. If you want to follow just the sentencing phase of that court, I do apologize once again to my mods and everyone over there. I messed up the audio on the verdict, and they've watched that whole court all month long. I apologize for that. That was I don't know what caused it, but it was pretty much, I'm sure it's my fault on that one, because we had the sound working over here. We did let them re-listen to that. We do have the rest of the day from Tennessee, if you'd like to jump back to that. That was so bad, Virginia. It was. We can go back to Swift, but if we do, we have to make a new thumbnail. So give me just 1 second. Let's schedule stream. It's going to be part 4 of the Swift trial. Thumbnail is going to be Tennessee cold case. Man, it's 5. Okay, we'll try to do this. We'll be on a replay a little bit faster than we're watching it right now. Let's see, I've got it created here. Let's see, jump back, refresh. Just announce, please. Just announce what? I'm going to lose sleep tonight. Sorry. Blackbird, thank you very much for gifting the membership. I appreciate that. All right. Well, let me point us back over to the new one. I've got to separate these, or else it makes it impossible to follow the story if you're on the rewatch crew and you're trying to follow the case. I have to have separate videos. So we'll do just a quick break. We'll come in live. During that break, I'm going to queue up the video to where we are right now in the case. We're going to watch it on replay a little bit faster so we get caught up. The Daybell verdict will not happen today. It could be 2 weeks from now before the verdict comes in. The trial they have, the next phase of the trial could be several days, could be a week or more. We're going to portal to the next one. Okay, the portal is set up, so get ready to be transported. Buckle up. It's going to happen. All right. It's been a day. All right, if you're not able to join us through the portal, tonight when you go home, please hug the people you love. Smile at someone to make their day just a little bit better, and please stay safe till we go live again, which will be in moments following the Swift trial, the not-so-Swift trial out of Tennessee. These portals, hopefully don't cause cancer or something, because we're overexposed for sure. All right, you guys, we will see you. There we go. We'll see you in just a minute. Have a good one.